This is a death sentence when cholera strikes. A healthy person can, between sunrise and sunset, turn into a shriveled husk. 24 hours later, the whole street falls silent as a grave. In 1854, cholera struck with ferocity, like a precise dagger, straight into the heart of London's Soho. Those who were struck suffered agonizing diarrhea, as if a tap had been opened inside their bodies. Rice water-like waste poured out uncontrollably. With massive loss of electrolytes, their skin quickly lost its elasticity. Their eyes sank into two dark hollows. Muscles twitched as if shocked by electricity. And in the end, a healthy adult turned into a blue mummy before everyone's eyes. To treat this bizarre disease, Dr. William Stevens tried giving patients intravenous warm saline to restore the blood's normal salt content. In the end, only 4% of his patients died, yet mainstream medicine dismissed it. They were convinced the epidemic was caused by miasma. They even mocked William Stevens. "You're pickling your patients." Journal editors piled on even harder. Salt may be good for curing pork and herring, but it does nothing for patients. They believed vomiting and diarrhea were the body expelling toxic miasma, and so they shouldn't be stopped. They should even be encouraged. So they kept subjecting patients to brutal treatments: bloodletting, mercury pills, forced brandy. After this whole combo, the death rate only climbed higher. So what was the truth? Not until an anesthesiologist named John Snow stepped into London's fog. John Snow often used ether and chloroform to knock himself out testing gases, searching for the best anesthetic for his patients. He understood gases better than anyone. If it spread through inhalation, why did cholera attack the intestines and not the lungs? So Snow picked up a notebook and walked every street and alley of Soho, knocking on door after door shadowed by death, asking who fell ill, who died. And then he marked every piece of information on a map. Every black dot stood for one fatal case. When the map was finished, the truth unfolded visually for the first time. If cholera spread through the air, the deaths should be scattered in a roughly even circular pattern, but the map showed. The outbreak spread was irregular. Dense clusters of black dots, like a flock of crows, gathered around one public water pump on Broad Street. He also uncovered a stunning statistic. Among residents who drew water from that same pump, nearly 60% had come down with cholera. There were also some strange exceptions. A nearby brewery, for instance, had almost no cases because its workers drank beer instead of water. A workhouse was spared because it had its own separate well. An elderly woman living far away died of the disease. The investigation found her son fetched her water from Broad Street every day. Snow even traced the actual source. A mother had once been less than a meter from the pump shaft by a partially blocked cesspool, washing her baby's diapers. The baby had cholera. Sewage leaked through a broken cesspit into the well, contaminating the drinking water for the entire community. The evidence pointed cholera straight at London's drinking water. So, Snow took his death map to city officials and made a request that was almost absurdly simple: remove the handle from the Broad Street pump. The officials were skeptical, but with the death toll still climbing, they reluctantly agreed. Days after the handle came off, new cases on Broad Street vanished, as if by miracle. Snow was convinced the miasma theory was wrong, but his victory was short-lived because his findings struck at the very foundation of medicine. The medical establishment rose up to refute him. Members of Parliament fiercely opposed him. Even the Lancet, the leading journal, twisted the knife. "You're a traitor to the field of public health." Snow died of a stroke in 1858, only 45 years old. To his death, his findings barely shook the miasma theory. He had proven cholera spread through water, but he never actually saw the true killer inside it. Far away in Egypt, a biologist was hunting that invisible killer. Robert Koch, the father of bacteriology, who had already isolated anthrax and tuberculosis bacteria. In 1883, he led a team to Egypt's cholera zone. In a makeshift field lab, he isolated a distinctive bacterium from a patient's stool sample, comma-shaped, motile, gram-negative. He named it Vibrio cholerae. Now, let's meet death in its truest form. It can grow on its own in water, or live inside small crustaceans like zooplankton. Billions of the bacteria enter the body through water tainted with feces, break through the stomach's acid defenses, and dodge the host's immune system. To cope with rising oxidative stress in the host, they can even mutate temporarily. In the end, only the bacteria that attach to the gut begin the real damage. But Koch knew that discovery alone wasn't enough. To prove it was the true killer, he had to meet a strict set of conditions. The microbe had to be present in every sick individual and absent in healthy ones. It had to be isolated from a patient and grown in pure culture. After inoculating that pure culture into a susceptible host, it had to cause the same disease, and it had to be re-isolated from that experimentally infected host as the same microbe. Through this rigorous chain of proof, Koch officially announced in 1884 that Vibrio cholerae was the cause of cholera. Koch's postulates caused an uproar, but he still had to face the last defenders of miasma theory. German chemist Max von Pettenkofer, to refute Koch, staged a daring spectacle. He drank a vial of feces-laced water containing Vibrio cholerae in public. The pathogen certainly didn't spare him. He developed severe diarrhea, but survived by luck. He claimed this disproved Koch's theory. But science isn't decided by one man's recklessness. It's decided by reproducible evidence. In 1892, cholera broke out in Hamburg. Just across the river, Altona, with nearly identical geography, saw almost no cases. The only difference, Altona used a filtered water supply. These facts became ironclad proof of the Snow-Koch theory. Miasma theory was finished for good. In 1901, Pettenkofer shot himself in despair. A scientific showdown had ended. Now let's return to where the story began. That London, whose life source had been poisoned, to fix the city's public health, engineer Joseph Bazalgette designed an unprecedented underground system. 3 massive intercepting sewers were built along both banks of the Thames, gathering the city's sewage to be carried away and discharged far from town. At the same time, drinking water intakes were moved upriver. The project took 15 years, consuming millions of bricks and thousands of tons of cement. It transformed London, transformed public health, and redefined what a modern city could be. This war against an epidemic did more than defeat one disease. It shaped the backbone of modern public health. When we turn on a tap and clean water flows out, that's not just water molecules moving. It's the clear stream of human reason. It's an enduring witness to the scientific spirit. It's civilization's deepest respect for life. The stream never stops, and neither does the questioning. This is our beacon through every fog.